Yes, 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 people. How's everyone doing? Monday morning. All signs are pointing towards Thomas Frank is the next Spurs manager. I mean, look, Thomas Frank, he's gone about his business quietly, isn't he, in the Premier League? He's been very consistent, I think. Bringing up Brentford from the Championship, stabilising them. Um, they don't know they finished mainly around mid-table, but the budget they've got is very very low, and he's made them competitive. Um, I mean, look, many fans are underwhelmed by this potential appointment because he hasn't won anything. He hasn't won, like, if you compare to Ange was one outside of England, and also he's obviously won the Europa League, and Frank hasn't done that. But it's not really fair to compare that because Frank has just managed Brentford, hasn't he? Mainly, I know he has been at a couple of clubs in Denmark, but he hasn't had the opportunity to be given that chance to manage a team in Europe or a bigger team in that competition. So it's a bit of a lazy argument now, I think. I mean, it's just the way he operates, and Brentford don't spend a lot of money. I mean, total net spend since 2022 is £109.1 million. He's built that squad. Obviously, sold players as well, brought some money in, bought more players. He lost the likes of Tony, Raya, um, and over the years, he just keeps, the whole kind of recruitment structure have bought in players really good prices, and Frank has developed these players into, good players. Like, you see the likes of Mbeumo linked, Wissa. Um, yeah, look, he's a good manager. He's a coach. I mean, I encourage people to go and have a look at all his kind of videos of how he talks about football, what he's done at Brentford, his how he sets up teams tactically, different game plans, etc., depending on the opposition. I mean, you never see Frank kind of blaming losses on injuries or the referee or having to go back at the fans or the press. He comes across as a very respectable guy, quite intelligent, and basically he's finishing in the Premier League above teams who have spent maybe four times as much as him, and it's quite remarkable what he's done on that budget at Brentford. So what I like about Frank is that he's pragmatic, he's adaptable, he adjusts his system based on depending on the opposition, whether it's pressing high, going long, or sitting back and playing on the counter attack. And we have seen since this last season, Spurs getting exposed time and time again. Um, and look, I think he can do good things at Spurs. He'll organise the team, set them up correctly, especially at defence. He likes to play with a six, and the thing with him is that he is adaptable in games depending on the opposition. Say if we've got a game against a better team, he's going to change up depending on who he plays, and that's what you need. Obviously Spurs, they've got a good squad, but compared to some of the top sides in the division, we do need to set up a little bit more cautious in those matches to try and get results. And Ange just hasn't done it, has he? And that's the issue, is it? Ange didn't do it, and we got exposed time and time again. And look, and I'm hoping that Frank can bring that kind of stability to the side. And it's kind of like going back to basics in some way. He we've been so bad in the league, and look, we need to start kind of again, build from the back. And I think Frank is definitely the right man who can do that. Would he be my first choice? No, I'll probably prefer Glasner because he's actually won in Europe, and he's won the FA Cup with Crystal Palace. But I mean, it doesn't look like he's available. So Spurs are looking at what they can get, and I think Frank deserves a chance at a bigger club. He has the ability to kind of build teams without big players, and I think if you look at the players that he's developed over the years, the likes of Tony and Bremo, Pinnock, Raya, Henry, Norgard, fantastic player Norgard. It'd be great coming to Spurs. And that's the thing. We don't have any stars anymore, Tottenham, um, which I don't think is acceptable. Spurs should be going out to buy big players, but if you look at that current squad, we don't have any kind of game changers in that side. Got some good players and players with a lot of potential. A lot of young players as well who need developing. So look, I think Frank would get the best out of that squad with some quality additions. You hope, we pray, because Spurs are going to need it next season if we're going to be competing in the Champions League. We do need a couple of special players who can, score goals out of nowhere and get the excitement up. I'm not saying Spurs need to do that, alongside if bringing in Frank if he's the guy. I think he's, you look at the Poch when he came in, managing Southampton, um, making them a competitive attacking team. And so we're kind of looking at, hoping that Frank kind of build that kind of, I don't know, that kind of, when you have a team and everyone's together and on the same page, and as fans we can get behind something that we can see that is slowly coming together. Progress. We need progress in the season. I don't expect Frank to kind of. It's not going to, start winning every game. It's going to take a while for the players to get used to his system, his tactics, etc. And as I said, we've really been beaten up this season. So there's a lot of coaching needs to be done with the side, and he's going to need to be given time. But I think if you stick in there with him, I think we will be a hell of a lot better than what we've seen last season, especially last season with all those defeats. He will make us harder to beat, and then it's about getting that balance, isn't it, right, of defending and attacking, juggling the multiple competitions next season, and really really doing better in the transfer market to really help Frank build a team that he wants, whatever how long contract he's given. So as I said, he's going to need backing, going to need time. If you look at Spurs compared to Brentford, Brentford have got some good players, but I think man to man Spurs have a better squad. Obviously, the concerns are that he's never managed in Europe before in the Premier League. Can he handle the step up, going to a bigger club? Who knows? The guy's got to be given a chance. And I'm happy to see him come in and take charge. I've liked what I see. Guys, give us your thoughts on this one. Again, the fan base is quite split around Frank. They want a better manager. They want the club to show ambition. Um, but look, it looks like he's going to be the guy, and we just need to get him in as soon as possible. Get working on that transfer window. Get some players in. Ben Davies re-signing another year. I mean, you would have thought his time's up, but look, it's this whole kind of you need a certain number of British players in the side, don't you? So maybe it's a bit of that. I mean, I probably would have moved him on, but they've signed him for another year. Um, it is what it is, really. Frank's not even in here yet, and the club have done it. So people are saying, look, it's the same old Spurs. Manager doesn't have any say on transfers, etc., etc. But maybe they're going to sign him on for a year and then try and sell him to another team to get a bit of money from him. I don't know. Who knows? But look, a lot to do. Let's wait and see if Frank is the man. And then again, it's just kind of get behind the guy. Yeah, look, I'll be fully behind him. Any Spurs manager comes in, I'm fully behind. And I'm sure there will be definitely a turnaround of how we play. Will be harder to beat. I mean, you play Brentford. All teams have played Brentford. They don't give you an easy match. I'm not saying they're perfect. Of course, they're not. They do lose a lot of games as well. But it all comes back down to the budget and the tools Frank is given. And as I said, he's a manager that gets more from less. And being a manager at Tottenham Hotspur, you need to do that because we're a club that doesn't really push the boat out with signing top players, and looking like they really want to challenge in the league. But as long as we can start building a respectable side again, a team in the Premier League that we can go and we can watch, and know that we're not going to lose every week. And again, Frank, if he can build that togetherness in the side, and we can see progression from players. We haven't seen enough progression from our players since Andrew's been in. It's been nowhere near good enough. Frank is adaptable. He's flexible. He changes it up. Style of play. He likes to attack. He likes to press. He does. It's not just about sitting back. If you go and watch him and talk about how he sets up teams, and he's got this thing. What he says, he's plan A. They've got plan A and B, and then if that's not going well, they're losing. He goes to plan C and D. So he's a manager who's thinking, and that's what you need. You need to, and I just don't think we've seen it under Ange. We were just getting battered, and Ange just didn't change it enough, did he? And it was just defeat after defeat, getting embarrassed most weeks, and I can't be watching that again. But look, guys, give us your comments on this potential Frank coming in. Maybe we'll hear today, but it does look like it's going to be him. And then, as I said, it's all systems go in that transfer window. Guys, enjoy the rest of your day. Please like the stream. If you haven't subscribed, please do. And as always, come on, you Spurs.